So today we're looking at price cutting photographers and how to deal with them. Now, unfortunately, the problem is you. If you're being price cut, you are the problem. And I'm going to try and help you around this and try and get you into a place where you can fix it and work around it. So as photographers, it's very easy to get a bit on our high horse and go, I do this, I am worth this. And I'm sure you are. I'm not doubting that in any way. But if you're being price cut, there is a reason for it. Now, it could simply be that there's a new business in town, they've got some financial backing, and they're able to price cut for a while to reduce the market. It's an aggressive business tactic, doesn't pay off well, but a lot of people do it. Big supermarkets do it all the time. It's a bit more rare in photography, but if you're in the family portrait business, the mass production of weddings, it is viable. Now, chances are you're more in a position like me. I have a set thing that I do, and there's a value to that, but not everybody needs it. And not everybody sees the value. If I tell my family members how much I charge to photograph a pizza, they would have a heart attack. They're just like, who on earth would pay that much money? And the answer is people who are going to get millions and millions of dollars in return for that image. Now, if I start going, well, these people in the cafes locally, they're using this cheap photography, it's only £250 a day. Why aren't they booking me? I'm much better. That is a pointless argument. They're not price cutting me. They're just servicing a market with a value that that market sees fit. At any point, if they suddenly went, if we book Scott, and if we pay this many £1,000s, we will get better images, and our cafe will turn over more money, they would make that choice, but that isn't the case. Me shooting a local cafe's food is not going to help them make more money. Now, if they're a very premium, very high-end restaurant where the markup's very high because they're paying for the skill of the chef, and there's not a simple minimum wage churn it out place, there's a little bit of scope in there for them to maybe meet me somewhere, slightly below my day rate if it's something I'm interested in. But generally speaking, there is no point in these companies hiring me. And it goes the same for myself. If I'm hiring an assistant, sometimes I need an assistant who is so good, knows absolutely everything, I can really trust them, and I'll pay £400 or £500 a day. Other times, I need someone to carry boxes across the room and make tea and coffee. And that's a minimum wage job. I actually always pay more than minimum wage, but you get the gist. You have to have a purpose. So if you feel that you're being price cut, there's two things going on here. One is you're charging too much money for the market. But I don't think that's the case. I think you're pitching your work at the wrong market, or you're not explaining your worth. So if you're going into a market at £500 a day and people are cutting you in at $250, these people, unless you're actually only as good as a $250 photographer, they don't understand your values. You're in the wrong place. You need to realign what you're aiming for. And if you're a jack of all trades, it's never going to work out for you. If you do headshots, portraits, weddings, event photography, all these different things, product, e-commerce, no one's going to value you because you're a person who owns a camera who takes a picture. That is all. Once you are the person who takes the headshots for creative industries exclusively, you have a value because you understand what they need, and they can perceive that value, and they know that you understand what they need. So I'm going to go through a few examples. So if you're in the wedding industry, and your work is at a certain level, and it's good, it's solid, it's not groundbreaking, but it's solid, and you're charging £2,000 a day, and there's people price cutting in at £1,000 a day. You've got a couple of options here. You're not going to convince £1,000 a day people to book you. That's not going to happen. You need to be looking at the next price bracket. People spend the budget they have. In photography in the UK, the average spend is £1,200. When I started out, I charged £1,200, knowing that most people had £1,200 for a photographer. That way, if somebody says, we have £1,200, here's a £1,200 photographer, here's a £600 one, they will spend the £1,200. People spend what they have. It's a flaw we have. Now, £2,000 might not be a market. Maybe nobody gets £2,000. Maybe they get £5,000. Maybe you need to change your service, adapt it, up it, start networking, and look at what the next price bracket up is. If your headshots are going out for £100 a headshot, and you're just not finding traction because someone's doing it for £40 out of a studio on the high street, maybe £400 is your headshot price. And rather than trying to drop to their price, maybe you need to raise the bar. Yes, you're going to have to increase the quality of your work and the quality of your service, but the chances are, if you're being price cut, you're in the wrong market anyway, and you're not servicing the potential clients. So there's a lot to this, and it's not a simple clear-cut answer, but I'm going to try and summarize. So if you find that you are being price cut, one, you probably don't have a niche in which people can go, this person does this, it's their speciality. You might have become the person who owns a camera who takes photographs. This is a bad place to be in. You need your niche. If you want to charge good money and not be price cut, find a niche. 2, those jobs were never for you anyway. The clients who you feel you're getting price cut for, they weren't going to be your clients. They belong to somebody who is cheaper. They don't have the value. They don't have the money. They don't see the value in spending more because there is no return on investment. And if there's no return on investment, they're not going to want it. And the third point is that if you are in that category, you need to jump up. You need to up your prices. And it sounds counterintuitive, but once you get to the point where you feel you're being price cut all the time, you just need to up your price. And this is something I did years ago. I used to charge £150 a day when I first started because I was useless, and that's what we do. Then I charged £250, then £300, then I charged £500. And at £500, I was about the going day rate of a Leicester photographer at the time. And then I charged £750. £750 was an awful price to charge. Nobody wants a £750 photographer because if they've got more than £500, they spend £1,200 because that's the going rate, and you have to up your game to that. And if they've got £500, they're not spending £750 because they'll buy a £500 photographer. I spent 6 months in limbo going, everyone's price cutting me, I can't get any work, I don't understand. I then up to £1,200, and all of a sudden the work came flooding in. And then since then we've made some small adjustments in the way we price, but we don't make small increments because that's when you get price cut. If you're going to up your prices, go big. Go to the next tier, the next tariff. Find out what the next level up of clients are spending and charge that. And make sure that as you're doing it, you up your game to match it. I hope that's of use. If you're enjoying these, I'm trying to put out as many videos as I can. This week's been a bit of a nightmare. I missed Friday, and today I'm filming Monday's video at 8 p.m. So it's not going so well, but there will be continuous content. I'm over on Instagram as well, at Scott Chathunyo. My name will be somewhere below. It's a nightmare to spell. And I'll see you all next time. Thank you very much.